So I'll start off, I think you, with my thank you, because I was thinking thank you in my head, with my thank yous, and I've got some special thank yous to say as well. But anyway, start off with the general thank yous, which of course is thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing. Still a big percentage of people who watch my videos, as with all YouTubers, do not always subscribe, and maybe people don't realize it's completely free, and you can press no notifications if you don't want the videos popping up all the time. You can press no notifications on the notification bell, or you can press all notifications so you get a notification anytime I put a new video out. So you are in control. Subscribing to the channel does not involve any payment, and it doesn't mean, and you can control what videos you get popping up on your screens. Yeah, and then people who like the videos, that's a very important way you can help my channel without it costing you any money. Just simply a thumbs up or even a thumbs down, some sort, any kind of participation is good for the algorithm. So thank you for that. Thank you for those who share, hype. People do all sorts of things to help promote my videos. Commenting is a way that brings the algorithm up as well. So any comments you leave, again, really, even derogatory comments, although, I don't really like them, but, I don't mind. It's better than no comment at all. Yesterday was, I can honestly say, one of the most surreal days that I've ever had. Because, of course, the football was on, the England football, that really dramatic game against Mexico at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was watching that. And it was, oh my God, it was a fabulous game. Now that we've won it, I think, oh, what a fantastic game. I'm glad I sat up to watch it. But literally, you needed Valium afterwards. It was like, real drama. Everything that could possibly happen seemed to happen during that game and afterwards. And then I finally sort of went to sleep at about, it was probably 6 o'clock in the morning, thinking, well, I don't have any classes this morning, so I can have a sleep. And then sadly was woken up at 7:30, just a couple of hours later, with the news that my sister, who lived in Manchester, had fallen, very ill. She's been ill for a long time. She had dementia. I don't know if she had Alzheimer's or dementia. I'm not sure how it's differentiated between. But she'd had quite a good quality of life. She was lucky. She had one daughter who looked after her amazingly, took her out took her out to meals, to concerts, on holiday. I mean, she lived in a home, but my niece would go and make sure, at least because she's a teacher, full-time teacher. So she would go weekends, holidays. She would make sure that she got her out. And so she had a good quality of life for about 6 years since she became ill with dementia. And then sadly, over the last 6 months, she did start to really deteriorate and her mobility got restricted. And so it was difficult for my niece to get her out. And then she had to move homes. And that doesn't, when people have got dementia, it's not good, is it, for them to be in a different environment? So there were various things that happened, but just, of course, with the general decline associated with that awful disease. So anyway, she fell ill over the weekend, and so I was woken up with the news that she was on palliative care, like end-of-life care. They could probably treat her, but because she had sepsis, she had a brain clot, a blood clot in her brain. But she would be just like, she would never be mobile again. She would never have a quality of life again. Just literally alive. That's it, lying in bed, and waiting for the moment, So my niece decided, they should not try to save her for that kind of life, if you see what I mean. And so they gave her palliative care. Anyway, to cut a long story short, so that was that. And yesterday was a day of waiting. And I want to thank you all. I asked everyone for their prayers for a peaceful passing for her, because that was really all that we could do at that time. She was never going to get better. It'd just be, I don't know if they might have been able to keep her alive for another year or 5 years even. But what, to be alive, just lying in bed, not moving, not being able to enjoy anything. Anyway, that was a decision that was made jointly with the medical staff and my niece. And so she died, surrounded by family and friends, late yesterday afternoon. So I asked you all to pray for her for a peaceful passing. She definitely got that. It was very peaceful, and everyone was there around her. And so she has shuffled off this mortal coil, and will be, this is what I believe, and I also hopefully, but I do believe it, be in the next realm with our mum and dad. And I also had a brother that passed a few years ago. So there's quite a big age difference. I'm going to explain a bit more about my family situation in the members live, and how this would come to be. And my sister, of course, me living in Spain, and it made me think about the Nancy Guthrie case, believe it or not. But you've got Savannah and Annie, but they live in different states. How close are they? I mean, sometimes you're close with your siblings when you all live at home, but then you go your different ways, don't you? And especially like in my case with the age difference, my sister had more or less got married and moved out as I was just still a little girl. So it's not the same as being not everybody sees their siblings every day, or even speaks to them every day, or even weekends. Sometimes people don't see their siblings for months. So I don't know what the situation was with Savannah and Annie. Did they just get together on big occasions like Christmas, etc., or were they constantly in touch? Were they close? Because sometimes sisters can be like friends as well. So you can have a sister and you can have a friend. Sometimes you look and you've got a sister who's also a friend. But not always, not everybody's close to their siblings, are they? So it's interesting, we always talk, the family, but not all families are close. Some families are and some families aren't. It's interesting to keep in mind. Anyway, just briefly, I want to show you photo of my sister. This photo is not a recent one because obviously she's been so ill lately. She was 76 when she passed. She had her birthday in January, and she's young for this day and age, really, isn't it? And you think, well, Nancy was 84 and still living independently, but it's the Alzheimer's or the dementia that took my sister. Dementia takes them, doesn't it, as well? Just looking at this. So this is from, I think it's about 10 years ago. It's not that long ago. Maybe a little bit longer, but I think it's 10 years ago. Her daughter, one of her daughters, she's got two daughters, but anyway, it's only one daughter that looks after her. Took her for one of those makeup shoots, mother and daughter. I'm going to show more photos in the members live. And this was one of the lovely photos that came out of it. And she was like my mum, very glamorous, always saw her with a lipstick on. That seems to be a running theme in our family with the women. You never, even when I go out, if I look like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards, I've still got my lipstick on, no matter what. And in fact, I just feel I've even got my lipstick on now, and I'm on the avatar. It's like just something that I do automatically. So yeah, that is my sister who sadly passed yesterday. And yeah, dementia came and took her 6.5 years ago. Started It's probably started before that, but it was 6.5 years ago when it really got a hold of her and she couldn't live on her own any longer. And yeah, that's her. So thank you so much, everyone, for all your prayers, all your good thoughts. Most of us have been through this kind of bereavement. I know a lot of you out there, you understand completely how it feels. And you know, when you're in a foreign country as well, though, it's like a real helpless feeling because you just can't do anything. You can't even go and see them, you know, and say goodbye. Or it's a very, very horrible thing. Bereavement's horrible, isn't it, in all circumstances? So, yeah. But in this particular case, unlike Nancy, who's just been snatched and we don't know what happened to her, you know, my sister, she got the dignity to die peacefully in bed, surrounded by people she loved. And, you know, that is important, isn't it? So, okay, so I just wanted to say I have now 8,000 subscribers between my two channels. I was aiming for that. Thank you so much to all of you that have subscribed. So old Hippie's asking, what's today's outrage from Tucson? Well, what they're saying, or what what Nancy Grace is saying, and what's been reported on some of the news sites, is that well, it just says media, and of course media can mean anything, can't it? Does media mean social media, or do they mean mainstream media, or, you know, what does media even mean? But apparently, according to Nancy Grace, it's not according to Nancy Grace, actually. She's probably read it on similar sources to I've read it on. But she's been talking about, did someone from the media deliberately plant false evidence in the Nancy Guthrie case? This is what's been speculated about, to reactivate the case or to keep the case alive. Did they? You know, do you think that's likely? And what evidence could they have planted? You know, we know very little about the evidence that the FBI have, don't we? Because the FBI are very tight-lipped, apart from these sauces that keep leaking out. You know, like you know, your tomato sauce, your chili sauce, your white sauce, whatever. All these sauces, all the media outlets have got different sources from the FBI telling them different things. We've got the FBI sources saying the ransom notes are genuine. We've got the FBI sources saying the ransom notes are fake. We've got, I don't know, everybody's got a source, haven't they? Each podcaster that you watch, they'll say, oh, my sources tell me. Then we had Ashley Banfield's sources telling her that Tommaso was the prime suspect. And, you know, he's still being brandished as the prime suspect by a lot of people. You know, then there was the 2 detainments in the early days of the case. Somebody leaked to Brian Ensign that there was going to be a SWAT team going in because he was right there at the scene. Who told him that? Who's his source? So all these podcasters, even Nancy Grace, they've all got their sources. I haven't got any sources. My sources are official sources, or, you know, what I see on the other podcasters' things. You know, I wouldn't pretend to be, you know, really close there on the case. The FBI, I don't think anybody is. I don't think that Brian Ensign's sources are any better than Nancy Grace's sources, who are not any better than Ashley Banfield's sources. They're all just that, sources. Until something comes out officially, you know, that the FBI, not Nanos, because you can't believe the word Nanos says, can you? But until the FBI or, reputable law enforcement comes out and actually says something is true, I don't believe it. Anything that I say to you here, I will say to you, look, this is what's been said, but I don't know if it's true. And of course, a lot of podcasters, they've got ex-FBI agents, ex-law enforcement, a person close to the case, this, that, and the other. This is how they name their sources, isn't it? Well, they are just sources. Everything in the Nancy Guthrie case so far is really speculation. The only thing we know for certain is we don't know where Nancy is. We don't know anything else for certain. We don't know if she was kidnapped. We don't know if the ransom notes are genuine or fake. We don't know who this person is that was caught on the camera. We don't know if there was one person involved or more than one person involved. We do know for certain that the blood that was found on the step, that is Nancy's blood. That we do know. We know that because the FBI have told us it was tested and it is her blood. But really, do we know anything for definite more than that? Do we? I mean, I don't think we do, really. So exactly, Kelly, who would want to do that? Well, I suppose it would be someone who's trying to reignite the case, maybe. Of course, social media are going to get the blame because I saw somebody on the Nancy Gray show saying exactly that. Oh, well, you've got to think it's likely to be social media because they want the clicks and they're earning all this money and blah, blah, blah. But, it's only people can say that about social media, but do you think mainstream media aren't doing their reports because they want to be watched? I mean, they want to be watched. They want a big story, just the same. To me, there is no difference in the medias. And I think mainstream media is scared of social media now because they sort of know that, don't they? People like to watch social media. I think, social media, it's a bit like, I mean, it's sad in a way, I suppose, but it's almost replaced going to the pub and chatting about things, isn't it? Like years ago, certainly in Britain, like if you didn't go to the pub, meet up with your friends, you would never, because we didn't have mobile phones and things. So, you had to go out and socialize, and that's where things would have been chatted about, like, and cases still got talked about. I mean, look at the Yorkshire Ripper in the UK, or Ted Bundy in US, and Dahmer and the Green River Killer. They still got talked about, even though there wasn't social media. But words still seem to get round somehow. People talked about it. It was odd, isn't it? Even years and years and years ago, in the days of Jack the Ripper, before we even had television or newspapers properly, there was still information got, penny dreadfuls, I think they were called. There'd be leaflets went out, and these little sort of magazines. We can't call them a magazine. People got to know about what was going on. Maybe not all over the world. You won't get to know about what happened over in America, maybe. And I just want to say congratulations to Belgium for defeating America in the World Cup and proving that Donald Trump, he can cheat as much as he wants. He cheats in every aspect of life. But, Belgium just showed they are the better team. They didn't need to have a red card decision overturned, or we're just waiting now for Donald Trump to appeal against Belgium's win and have 4 goals disallowed. God, poor America. Honestly, I know I have some American followers. I just feel so sorry for your country. Look at the state of it. Look at the state of it. What was a proud country, but anyway, and look where it's reduced to now. That Trump, how he's besmirched the reputation of a fantastic country. But anyway. And Nancy, of course, a lot of people think this might be politically motivated somehow because Nancy was a confirmed Democrat. So uh, has that got anything to do with it? I suppose Savannah is as well. I don't know. And Savannah, of course, interviewed the Epstein survivors. Keep meaning to go through those interviews. I think we will do that one day. Is that any reason behind Nancy's disappearance? Yeah, Linda Ronstadt, very good. Yeah, you like Linda Ronstadt, old hippie. Yeah, very good singer. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, old age is very cruel, isn't it? It can take a lot of things from you. Um, you know, but you do get some singers like Tina Turner, Mick Jagger. I mean, Tina Turner's deceased now, but you've got a lot of singers that still go out on tour. There was one recently, though, got ill on stage, wasn't it? It was Lionel Richie had to go to hospital. Was it Rod Stewart got ill on stage? They've got to be careful. But, the thing is, I think when you've been famous like they have, singers, they just love it, don't they? That is their passion, singing or, playing the guitar or whatever it is they do. So it's very difficult to give that up no matter how old you get. We get quite a lot of famous singers here in Spain doing tours that are perhaps a bit past their sell-by date. Well, Tom Jones, he's often done Spanish tours. We get groups like UB40, etc. So thing is, that's what they do. They sing, and it's hard to give it up because when you've had that adulation as well, that is your life's blood, isn't it? So it's very difficult to give it up. Anyway, I'm digressing again. Is there any political motivation to this? But Trumpy, we've got to say, when all this story first broke, he offered help, didn't he? Got to give him credit where credit's due. Trumpy said immediately, whatever help from the FBI is needed, they can have it. And then Kash Patel got involved, and then that's when these pictures came out, wasn't it? Hi, Marcus. You're there from the States. Sorry, I listen. America, fabulous country, or it was once. But anyway, we'll see. It will be again. But that's when. So it's when the FBI got involved. Kash Patel got involved. That these photos and videos came out, didn't they? So they did well, the FBI. They got these, Nanos had let's have a look at Nanos if we must. Nanos had originally said in one of his very few proper press conferences that he did at the beginning, he said, oh yeah, these, the camera picked up something, but we don't know what it was because Nancy didn't pay a subscription, so there's no video. We think it could have even been an animal. We don't even know if it was a person. So that's what Nanos said. Then, 5 minutes later, practically, once Kash Patel got involved in the FBI, these photos and videos came out from the Google Nest camera. And I don't know about you, but I believe very strongly there'll be more. This is what they've released. That doesn't mean to say this is all they've got. So, the question remains, who is this person? Who is this person? And were they acting alone? Are they, involved? Did they know Nancy? Are they involved with the family in some way? I see you there, Marcus, saying it's hard to believe that Annie and Tommaso are involved in some way. I think it is hard to believe. I agree with you, even though Nana, I'm not saying that means they are involved. I'm saying because we haven't got any other theories, have we? You're talking about family members who Nancy was with the night before she went missing. So they're bound to be the prime suspects, aren't they? Bound to be. You can't get away from it. And I feel for if Annie and Tommaso are completely innocent and, got nothing to do with what's happened to Nancy, it's a terrible shame because they are being accused. But you can understand why they're being accused because the real suspects haven't been caught. And they were the last people to see Nancy. And it is normally the family. So if you put all that together, that's what makes them favourites, if you like, for having had something to do with it. But, of course, it does not mean that it was them. And, of course, the house was examined, the car was towed away. And, I agree with you. They haven't done anything to help look for her. And also, but same with Savannah. Where are they handing out leaflets and on local news stations begging for what's happened to their mum, somebody to come forward? I just don't get it. I think if that was my mum, I just would be everywhere. And it's not as if you could say that in the beginning they were giving out flyers, but now it's dwindled out. They, as far as I know, Annie and Tommaso have never been to the shopping centres around that area giving out flyers and asking people, do you know anything about what's happened to our mum? Never. Not just that they did it at first and now it's dwindled, but not only them, Cameron, Savannah. Very odd, this case. I do feel that this is one of the weirdest cases I've ever covered. So we mustn't forget Savannah. All members of the family have to be suspects, don't they? Even though Savannah doesn't live there. Savannah's the one. Savannah's the one with the means to pay for someone to do something to Nancy. I'm not saying she has. No, you please remember that. Don't accuse me of saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying she's the one with the financial means if she wanted to, do it. And, it does strike people as strange sometimes, when Savannah's on cooking programs and things. But then I don't blame her for going back to work because what else is she supposed to do? That's what she does. If her job was working, if Savannah's job was working in Tesco's, stacking the shelves, and she went back to work, people perhaps wouldn't make a big fuss about it. But because she's going back to work presenting, but that's what she does. It's not as if she's become a presenter because of the fame from her mum going missing. That's what she did. This is her job. So what else is she supposed to do? And when is she supposed to go back to work, if not now? I just feel that I'd be struggling to just sit at home. I mean, I wouldn't be sitting at home, having said that. I would be out handing out flyers and, doing talks all over the area. I would be in Mexico talking to I speak Spanish, but if I didn't speak Spanish, we're taking a translator with me and going to Mexico and doing talks there, just in case she has been taken over the border. There are things that she could have done that she hasn't done. Now, it could be that she's privy to more information than us, and the FBI have told her there's no need to do that because we've got our eye on someone and we're going to break this case sooner or later. We don't know. We don't know all the ins and outs. But the other thing that's sort of a bit galling, isn't it? You know how they've got annoyed with the YouTube streamers and things, but the YouTube streamers are bringing attention to this case. You know, they are bringing attention to this case. So wouldn't you want whatever attention? You just want everyone to have your mum's name on their lips and be looking out for anything that could help solve this case. That's how I feel about it. And although the YouTube streamers might be irritating, you know, they're not doing anything wrong. They're sitting on a public road making videos. You know, you can't arrest someone for being irritating, which of course they did get arrested, but all the charges have been dropped now. Strange that, isn't it? But anyway, so yes, this of course is where we are. So now we come, so there's two things that have sort of, first of all, Nanos, of course, Sheriff Nanos. Now he might not be doing proper press, what I would call proper press conferences. You know, he should be doing press conferences alongside the FBI once a week at least, I think, even if it's just to tell us there's been no advancement or to just make another plea so we've got Nancy on our mind. But he's not. He's going on different media outlets himself and talking and blabbing, as Nancy Grace calls it. Because, yeah, every time he goes and does an interview, he gives away too much information. You know, so in the end, and you can't rely on the information he gives because it gets contradicted then by the FBI. So we're at a position where every word that comes out of his mouth, we just don't believe it. So I think tomorrow, Nanos could sit there and say to us, we've found Nancy Guthrie, we've solved the case, we've got the perpetrator, and we'd just go, have you though? Have you though? We wouldn't believe him. I wouldn't believe him. I'd want the receipts. You know, I wouldn't believe anything he says. I'd be like, let's hear what the FBI have got to say. So sadly, you know, he just talks a load of crap, doesn't he, basically, or that's how it feels to me. And it's just destroying his credibility. But anyway, there you go. He doesn't care because he's King Dick in his own domain. He's been elected into that role as far as he's concerned. He's the sheriff. He runs that town now. He feels like it is like the sheriff off Rambo. And he's just like, well, like it or lump it. So one telling thing that he did say in one of his latest interviews is he said, oh, DNA takes a long time, especially with the genealogical DNA. So he's virtually said, basically, for everyone to hear, including the perpetrator, that they haven't got a hit on CODIS, and they haven't got, you know, and they've had to send the DNA for genealogical testing, which literally can take months, if not years. But should he have even said that? You know, he shouldn't be giving away so he's not giving away information in a proper press conference that's organised and they know exactly what information they're releasing. He goes on his little, you know, ego-stoked interviews with local news agencies and things and blabs. And he does blab because he loses track of what he's saying. He doesn't realise what he's saying. He gives away, he either, you know, contradicts what he's said or he gives more information than he should. You know, he's sort of, anyway, we know how rubbish he is, don't we? Oh, sorry, I've just got to answer this. So that's the first thing. So he's out. So he's told the world now, including the perpetrator, that the DNA has now gone for to genealogy, and we just got to wait for that. He's always blabbing something, isn't he? But the other news that's sort of come out is, now this is TMZ. Now TMZ, of course, I should get a picture of Harvey. Is it Harvey Levin? I should get a picture of him ready to put up. I haven't got one there, but they're interjected left, right, and centre in this case, aren't they? They're again. You just think, bloody hell, why are they so involved in this case? So it's them that's saying this about supposedly the media planted something. Well, is it them? Because they're involved with the ransom notes. They every 5 minutes they've got some new news. Why would the kidnappers contact? No offense to them. They do what they do. They're popular. They're a celebrity gossip magazine. Why would a kidnapper? This is a serious business. We're talking about an 84-year-old woman that's gone. They were asking for millions of dollars. Why would they do that to TMZ? Why not go to the New York Post? I don't know, what's a reputable, the Times or something like that. Why not go to if they were going to go to it's unusual for kidnappers to go to any media outlet. Normally kidnappers, they will leave a note for the family. They'll even say to the family, don't contact the police or whatever. Never mind the media. Kidnappers don't normally want attention. This kidnapper wants attention, which makes you feel like, is it even genuine? Because any serious kidnapper for the millions of dollars that they're asking for, they would want discretion. And if you want discretion, you don't go to TMZ. As I say, no offense to TMZ. Yeah, if you want to advertise Taylor Swift's wedding or someone's divorce or custody battle, some famous person. I mean, I hate all that celebrity culture. So it wouldn't attract me, but for people who do like celebrity stuff, yeah, if you want that story out there, go to TMZ. If you were a celebrity and there was something you wanted to say and you wanted maximum exposure for it, you'd go to TMZ. But not if you're a kidnapper that just wanted, just kidnapped an 84-year-old woman and you wanted some money. So I think the whole TMZ thing is weird, to be honest. And obviously I'm not saying that TMZ planted whatever this evidence is that's supposed to be been planted. But, they definitely benefited from this case. As a person who doesn't live in America, I've never even heard of TMZ before. Now suddenly it's on my timeline, every 2 minutes, TMZ this, TMZ that. So this case of Nancy has definitely raised their profile globally. I mean, maybe they were already popular. I don't know if they're popular in all America or just in the sort of Hollywood area, but now everybody will know about them all over America and all over the world. Anyone who's following this case of Nancy Guthrie now knows about TMZ. So if anyone was likely to do it from media, to me it'd be them. I think they've benefited more from it. Now, of course, yeah, the YouTube streamers, the ones that have been there, they have made money from Nancy's case. But you know what? They've sat there sometimes for 7 to 9 hours in the heat filming. People like watching them. I've watched them. It's fascinating because you're actually seeing the area, and they do find out bits of information that we wouldn't find out otherwise. That's what they do, and that's how you get paid on YouTube. You get paid for the views, but it's such a small amount. So most YouTubers, the way they, become like, I a full-time YouTuber is by stickers and coffees and things that people buy. Nobody gets rich on YouTube, believe me, until they've got maybe, I don't know, I think you need about 80,000 subscribers before you would even start earning what you might call a living wage. I mean, I'm not saying you don't earn anything. Of course you do. It's not money that you could live on, pay your mortgage on, pay your bills on. So, you know, this, I think there's a lot of jealousy from the mainstream media towards social media, towards the streamers, etc. Because, yeah, they do get, their followers send them money. But that's their followers, it's their choice, it's their money, it's not my money. It's not, you know, Savannah Guthrie's money. It's nobody's money except the people who are watching the stream, that are enjoying watching the stream while these streamers are in the foothills at Nancy's house or whatever. And these people are enjoying watching it, and they show their appreciation for the streamers. That's what they do. Doesn't matter if you agree with it or you don't agree with it. That's how YouTube works. You know, what you're going to do, stop watching YouTube? You know, you don't have to do it. I mean, you know, for people who criticize it, well, it's not obligatory. You don't, you know, you can watch these streamers free. You know, it's free at the point of contact, isn't it? YouTube, the source is free. You watch YouTube for free, or you can pay for the to get the adverts removed, or you can send your favorite streamer or whatever, you know, donations. But at the end of the day, you don't have to do any of that. So you don't agree with it, don't do it. You know, and then the ones that do it, it's their money. If they want to send their money to the streamers, why couldn't they? You know, so you know, it just and exactly, Marcus. The neighbours more worried about the streamers than the fact that this supposedly, you know, this person, those neighbours, this person was in their midst. This person walked into their neighbourhood, up to the door of their neighbour with a gun, and kidnapped her or took her away. There's blood everywhere, so some damage has been done to her. And but nobody noticed that. Nobody saw a vehicle, nobody saw anything. And this person is still walking around. As far as they know, he might live up the road. You know, even Nanos said, didn't he? It could happen to anybody. Well, first of all, he said people had nothing to worry about. That was probably when he was honing in on Tommaso as a suspect. And then later he said, oh, no, you know, this could happen to anybody. So these neighbours have been told it could happen to anybody. But anytime a streamer's out there, the bloody police are there in 30 seconds with backup. But nobody saw anything when this real dangerous person walked right up to Nancy's door and took her in the middle of the night, snatched her. Nobody saw anything, and now they're just trying to pretend like it never happened. Oh no, we're not having these streamers here. Anyway, you know how I feel about that. It's ridiculous. And to me, it don't matter if you like the streamers or not. It's not my job to say who you should watch and who you shouldn't watch. If I couldn't stand one of those streamers, or if I thought they were the best things in sliced bread, it's not for me to tell you what to watch. Like nobody tells me what to watch. I watch what YouTube channels I want to watch. Well, how do people feel like they've got the right? So you shouldn't watch this channel because of this. Well, you know, and a lot of the people that say that, they've got their own channels. You know, they are YouTubers themselves. But basically, you know, what you know, these YouTubers who complain about other YouTubers, they don't mind when someone sends them a donation, do they? But they just don't like, you know, they watch other YouTubers maybe get more donations and they get jealous. That's what I think happens. And a lot of people put themselves out there and think they're better than other YouTubers, but not all YouTubers are the same. To me, some people tell more lies than others. That's true. Some people are more deceptive than others, but basically, we're all YouTubers. Okay, so let's have a look at this supposed thing about the FBI suspecting that somebody had planted evidence. That is if it's true, sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes I think, are the FBI themselves, doing a ploy here? Are they trying to, are the FBI deliberately trying to sort of confuse everything? Sometimes I wonder that. I really do. I think, are the FBI themselves, deliberately trying to bamboozle the people that they think did it? Oh yes, it's kidnappers. Oh no, it's not. Oh, they're genuine. Oh, they're not. Is it the FBI themselves using ploys? Oh, hippie, I could have you as your source. It doesn't pay anything. It doesn't pay anything. Maybe a bottle of tomato sauce. You would definitely be chili sauce, old hippie, because you are spicy. You'd be spicy sauce. Yeah. Yeah, that was another rumour, wasn't it? About, did Savannah hire a private investigator? I think she'd be like, she'd be just as well with Magnum in this case. I think, just like, sorry, I'm not meaning to make light of it, because of course it is serious. This is Nancy. She's at the heart of it all. But it is like ludicrous, isn't it? If you didn't laugh, you'd cry in this case. What private investigator? That was another rumor, wasn't it? Supposedly, or 1 minute someone's there. Because some YouTubers do tell lies. You have to remember that. So, how often do I get people in my chat or sending me messages saying, "Oh, on such and such a channel, they said this," and I just think, all right, okay. Because that it's going to be a load of rubbish, because some YouTubers do lie for clicks and views. Some YouTubers do clickbait. There's no doubt about it. But I think the mainstream media does that as well. They can't just say YouTubers do it or social media people do it. TikTok does it. Some do it, but some don't. I don't. I don't think I clickbait. You put your thumbnail up. You want people to watch your videos. No YouTuber is out there making a video and thinking, "Oh, I don't want anyone to watch this video." Of course, you want people to watch your videos, but you've got to be careful about putting false information in thumbnails. Do you know what I mean? That is not on, in my opinion. You do see some very dramatic thumbnails that are blatant lies. That is, I don't like that. That is wrong. But of course, you want people to watch, and you want people to share your videos, and because you want the maximum diffusion, not only for your own monetization, because you do want monetization. People put a lot of work into YouTube, so why shouldn't you get some remuneration? But it's not only because of that, because if you're a genuine YouTuber, you do care about the people you're talking about. There's nothing that would please me more than waking up tomorrow morning or tonight hearing that some progress had been made in this case. We do get what's the word? Not ingress. That we get involved in these cases. In the end, you feel like the victim. I feel like I know Nancy. I've seen her photo that many times. I've read that much about her. Seen that many videos about her, empathized with her, imagined the terror she must have felt when they woke her up with a balaclava and a gun. you know, where did the blood come from, etc. You do get engrossed in these cases and you do care. Whatever people think, you know, it's not all about clicks and views. You genuinely, and of course, with a case like Nancy's, especially because it is so mysterious. She was sleeping in bed at home where she should have been safe. She wasn't, you know, doing something risky, like out on the tiles at 4 o'clock in the morning, drunk and drugged up. But you know what? You should even be able to do that if you really want to do it without being attacked. But anyway, she wasn't doing anything like that. She was asleep in bed. She's an 84-year-old woman. You know, we think about her with what happened with my sister and that, you know, all people are vulnerable. And although Nancy was sharp as a tack, apparently mentally, she was vulnerable physically. She wouldn't be able to fight someone off. Maybe she did put up more of a fight than they were expecting, because I always think that. I think, you know, if God forbid anything like that ever happened to me, I think I would certainly try and put up a fight. If you know, probably won't be successful because, you know, I'm not as old as Nancy, but I am old, and you know, I'm only short and stuff. But you know what? I would have a go. But maybe Nancy did put up more of a fight than they thought, and that's why, you know, it all went wrong. Because, you know, she was a nice woman, it seems, but you know what? She was strong. She'd been through a lot of trials and tribulations in her life, and you don't get through all that she's got through, losing a husband at a young age, having to bring up the 3 children on her own. You know, apparently she had financial problems, not now, but, you know, years ago when her husband first died. She's been through a lot, and you don't go through all that and not be strong one way or another. You'd be surprised how strong people can be when they have to be. So maybe she did put up more of a fight than they expected. Anyway. Oh, oh, hippie, I'm starting to babble. I'm always babbling. It's waffle. Where's the waffle thing? Waffle, I'm waffling. That's my trademark. It's starting to. I think I've been waffling all the way through. Anyway, let's read this because old hippie's telling me off. He likes to tell me off. So, this is what is this? The International Business Times. The FBI suspected evidence was planted in the Nancy Guthrie search, broadcaster Harvey Levin reveals. So it's Harvey again. He's always in there, TMZ. I mean, where was he on the night? I'm joking. But where was he on the night Nancy disappeared? Bloody hell. You know, they always say that anyone who tries to inveigle themselves into an investigation, you should check out. Bloody hell, Harvey's right in there on this. So he apparently claims that federal agents it was his sources that have told him that, you know, I don't know, which source will it be? Do you know, all the different sources. I reckon it's probably, it's near Mexico, maybe it's like guacamole sauce, So he claims that federal agents were forced to diagnose after identifying a suspicious item they alleged was staged to generate media attention during the early stages of the hunt for the 84-year-old. Now, what can this item have been? It will have been a glove, do you think? Remember, there was one point where all they were talking about was the bloody gloves. Black gloves everywhere, wasn't there? Found everywhere, and a lot of them were discarded by the searchers and that. You know, it just felt like the whole sort of crime scene was a joke, wasn't it, in the beginning as well? So yeah, this is what Harvey, good old Harvey, says. There she is, Nancy, bless her. Bless her, bless her, bless her. Where are you, Nancy? I think that's quite a recent photo of her. Where are you, Nancy? So the FBI once suspected that a piece of evidence in the Nancy Guthrie kidnapping case had been planted by someone in the media, according to US broadcaster and lawyer Harvey Levin, in a claim that throws fresh scrutiny on the early days of the Arizona search. Speaking on the 4th of July, Levin said that an FBI source had told him the Bureau believed one particular item recovered after the disappearance of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie's mother might have been staged to draw attention. The alleged planting of evidence, if true, could help explain some of the confusion that dogged the hunt for the 84-year-old in Tucson. No one has been charged in connection with the incident, and no item has been publicly identified. I reckon it'll be that glove. That glove that they found, didn't they trace it back to a restaurant worker or something? So the news came after Levin discussed the Nancy Guthrie case on the podcast Two Angry Men, which he co-hosts with trial lawyer Mark Garagos. Around 20 minutes into the episode, he said that early in the investigation, some items had been discovered that drew heavy media attention. He did not specify which discovery he was referring to or where it was found, and he stressed he was deliberately withholding the details. This is what he does, Harvey, doesn't he? He's done that. Oh, he comes on and he goes, "Oh yeah, we've got this, but we can't disclose our source and we can't disclose the details." And then later on, he just discloses all the details. So you feel like, is he being spoon-fed by the FBI to say things? I've never known how for any of you, I challenge anybody to tell me you've ever known a case where the media was so involved. 6 months this has gone on, and TMZ, they're almost like replacing the press conferences that Nanos and the FBI should be doing. We've had no press conferences, but TMZ is giving us all our information. I'm not going to say what it is because they haven't done anything with this. But there was one particular item, Levin said. He went on to claim that an FBI insider had told him, "We believe that somebody in the media may have planted that item to get attention." According to Levin's account, the person he spoke to insisted that if the Bureau could prove that such a thing had occurred, they would prosecute the individual. Well, yeah, interfering with an investigation is a very serious thing. I think if the FBI really thought that, but can they prove and proving are two different things. But why do they think that? Why do they think that somebody in the media planted it? If somebody dropping the glove, well, then they prosecute them, surely. Because it is a terrible thing to do. It uses a lot of resources that they'll be at full blast, won't they, with the resources that they need to solve this case. And then if some resources are then sent out to deal with the bogus in cases, the people who leave decoys are normally the cases like that. if somebody's trying to, for example, if you murdered your husband or your wife and you wanted to make it look like they'd run away, but really you'd hidden the body somewhere. But if you wanted to make it look like, I don't know, they'd run away to another town, well, what you would do is go out to, go on the way to that town and drop some personal items of theirs, wouldn't you? And then the police would find those personal items and they think, oh, well, they must have left the house because look, there's their phone, or here's their handbag, or here's their wallet. So planting evidence is normally done by the perpetrator. But what they're saying in this case is that so that they could make more money out of the case, basically. Hey, Sean. Hi, Sean. Hope you're well. So, how long is the video? Maybe we can have a look at the video. The FBI will play, how it doesn't all.
There was a story that turned out to be bogus, that these ransom notes that we got and that the Tucson stations got were fake.
I don't think the story was bogus. I think it was planted, and frankly, by somebody in the FBI. Okay, Harvey.
No, that's funny. I said that a couple of days ago in a video, didn't I? That is it possible that the FBI are inventing these ransom notes, to try and deliberately confuse the case? I think Harvey knows something as well. You look at him and he looks like, I don't know, he's got that duping delight on his face. I personally think a lot of it he knows the truth about.
Last week caused a firestorm. As we tape this on Thursday, yesterday, I was told, and sure enough, it happened, there was a Reuters.
Oh, come on, don't buffer. Come on. It's buffering. Let me try stop and start it again.
Reuters report, which was flat out wrong, but in Reuters' defense, they reported that the FBI did not believe any of these ransom notes.
The two in particular sent to both TMZ and two local television stations in Tucson.
Correct. And that was put out there. They've traced the FBI traced it back. They know exactly internally where that came from, which was FBI generated. And they felt so compelled to not only kind of bitch slap, if you will, the ones who leaked it, but they actually issued out of the Phoenix office a press release from the FBI less than 24 hours ago saying that they still believe a couple of these, the ones that Reuters had reported, like I said, to Reuters, in Reuters' defense, they were getting it from sources, but the sources had their own access to grind. And so I said, well, why is this? What happened here? And I know you yesterday reported that you went back to your sources and you knew as a percipient witness that in fact the FBI was taking it seriously. This came from the top of the FBI. I'll leave it at that. That specifically, there were mistakes that were made by FBI agents initially. You know how everybody was talking that it was the sheriff, and everybody was laying blame.
Yeah, everybody blamed it on the sheriff.
Right. Well, apparently the sheriff was not the only one. Local field office apparently had some missteps, and they were course corrected quickly, but some of the people trying to pretend has been a repudiated story out. And then as we tape this, there is a plea that's being reported by NBC News that somebody is entering a plea to, or has entered a plea to a phony ransom note. There was a concerted effort to try to basically cover the tracks. This person pled. They knew the person was going to plea yesterday when they released this story to Reuters, but they were that does not take away from the fact that
is what happened here.
So just want to say, so I just looked up because I was looking at Harvey and I thought, I wonder how old he is. And he is he's 74, 75 years old. So he looks well for that, doesn't he? Looks well for 75.
Along with two, that ransom note said, give us $4 million. And if you don't give it to us by the deadline, it goes to $6 million. And if you don't give it to us by that deadline, we'll kill Nancy Guthrie. Then 4 days later, they send a second note, and we know it's the same person based on the emails, and there are markers on it, but it's the same person, writes a second ransom note to one of the Tucson stations saying, Nancy's dead. And we didn't do it. She just died. And they never asked for any money. They just said it. And the next day, that's when Savannah said, we will pay you. Just let us know how to get our mother back. And the reason she said it that way was that second note didn't ask for a particular amount of ransom. It just said, I think what happened was the kidnappers did this to get money. And they thought, oh, we can get a quick payday. And then she dies on them. And they're thinking,
and they didn't know the medical history or anything else, right?
We're murderers now. And they just went underground, never to be heard again. And that's why she made the plea saying, we will pay you. The reason she didn't pay is she didn't know what they wanted at that point, and they never got back. So we had always been told by the FBI, and we had numerous contacts with them. They had multiple people talking to our IT team all the time. I was talking to them. They told us, we believe those ransom notes are real. And then we started getting this guy who was constantly contacting us saying, I know who the kidnappers are. Give me 1 Bitcoin and I will lead you to them. So Reuters comes out.
When you get the Reuters story, which came out on Wednesday, 7/1, what are you saying to yourself? I know what I was saying.
Well, what I said to myself was, look, I want to make sure maybe they're right. Maybe they've decided that it would have surprised me given all the communications we had. But when I saw this Reuters story that said that the FBI believes those ransom notes.
Yeah, so I do believe, I mean, don't you feel like Harvey's really loving this? Because, as I say, it's giving them more attention. I mean, I'd never heard of TMZ living over here in Spain. They obviously, in their sort of remit, they are popular, but they're more popular now from this. I've never known a crime case so intertwined with a media outlet like this. Have you? I mean, it'd be like, somebody gets murdered and then the murderers start communicating with Ola, Hello Magazine or something. It's bizarre. It's just another bizarre thing in this whole bizarre case. I personally don't think the ransom notes are real. Well, they're real. They're real notes. But I personally don't think they're genuinely from any kidnapper. They're from someone looking for attention, looking for their 5 minutes of fame. They can blame the YouTubers. It's the people claiming to be the kidnappers that are claiming their 5 minutes of fame, and Harvey is loving every minute of it, because that's another, it's another 100 followers, it's another clicks and more attention for his podcast, more people visiting the website. And of course, what I can't get over with the TMZ, which always feels weird to me, is, as I say, 1 minute you'll be seeing a serious post like about the Nancy Guthrie case, followed by 10 posts about Taylor Swift's wedding. Who cares? Who cares about Taylor Swift's wedding? I mean, maybe some of her fans do. It's not that I don't like Taylor Swift. I do. She's good. But I don't care about her getting married. I don't care about her personal life. Why should I? I don't even know her. The celebrity culture just leaves me cold. Give her some privacy to get married, God's sake. And it's all, who's going, who isn't going? Who cares? I mean, I had my invitation and I said to him, I'm not coming, I can't do with all the attention. Joke. That's a joke, by the way. But it's bizarre. And then the next minute, this case can't get much more serious. An 84-year-old woman disappearing in the dead of night. Some weirdo turning up to her door with a balaclava and a gun. Blood on the porch. She's disappeared. Vulnerable old lady who should have been safe in her own bed. It's not Taylor Swift's wedding. It's not like some bit of celebrity tittle tattle about who's got custody of who, or did they, swear at their ex-husband. Nobody cares about those things. We care about Nancy. So it feels weird. To me, if I'd say Harvey would be a likely suspect for planting the glove, because you've got to look who's profiting from all this fuss about the ransom notes. TMZ. If you look at it that way, he's got to be the prime suspect.
As well as those demand letters we received are fake. And when I saw that, I thought, that's just not aligning with what I had been told. But maybe they got this. I mean, I didn't discount it. So I can't.
Harvey, just because somebody tells you something doesn't mean it's true. It's not aligning with what I've been told. Yeah, but people, they'll have their own reasons. I just don't understand. This to me is a no-brainer why people would even feel surprised. This is not aligning with what I've been told, because you haven't been told anything officially. Nothing. It's your FBI source. Could be the bloody cleaner, the janitor, the person who makes the tea. What does that even mean, FBI source? Load of rubbish.
Contacted two people.
Anyway, I think we've got the message there. There's still a little way to go for that video, but I think they're just going to talk over the same thing. So yeah, what a mess this case is, isn't it? It's a complete mess, really. All we get in it, like we keep, it's all this. So are the ransom notes real or not? Yes, they are. Oh, yes, they are. Oh, no, they're not. Now, did somebody plant that? And was it a glove? I mean, we don't actually know it was a glove, but what else could it be that was planted? Because there's no media person that's been inside the house, inside Nancy's house. The blood was found outside, but no media person would have access to Nancy's blood. And we know that is Nancy's blood because it's been declared as that. What else could it be but a glove? Did somebody plant it? Now, don't forget, he's just said he's telling us about something now that he was told quite a while ago. And he's saying that nothing came of it, that nobody was prosecuted. But his source from the FBI told him that they could be, if they found out who it was, they could be prosecuted for planting false evidence, which of course, because it leads to a big, they have to investigate everything, and it takes away from maybe investigating into what's really going on, if they even know what's really going on. Because we are, nearly 6 months down the line, and we don't really know any more, do we? We know no more than we knew before. We don't know if the ransom notes are real or not. We don't know if Nancy was kidnapped, or was she targeted? Was she murdered? Was it someone she knew? Where is her body, if she is dead? We don't actually know she's dead. We're just presuming she is now. Really, we're not any further on, are we? And we're waiting for this DNA from the, which apparently, according to Nanos, now he's gone to the genealogical lab. So it's going to, could take, think about genealogy. I mean, it happens, and it works in catching people. It caught the Golden State Killer, of course. It caught Rachel Marin's killer. Poor Rachel, on the Mar and Par Trail there in Maryland, brutally murdered by, that horrible Victor the Viper, who's now in prison life without parole. But that was a case where we were feeling that we would never get to an answer. But they did, they had like he was another thicko who actually left his DNA on Rachel's body. And they did link him to family, and anyway, they found him in the end, and he's been held to account. But it took about a year for them to actually arrest him. Do you remember when they arrested him? I remember it like it was yesterday, because we followed Rachel's case right from the beginning. But she did. It didn't bring Rachel back, bless her. But and 5 kids lost a mother that day, and had to get separated into different households because they had different fathers, so they couldn't even all stay together. So it's terrible. It's a terrible case, but at least the person who did it, the perpetrator, he was held to account thanks to DNA. Well, that was part of the reason. So I'd like to say I have no doubt that this case will be solved, but I just can't say that. Hand on my heart, I hope to God this case is solved. And one way or another, Nancy is brought home and laid to rest in a dignified way as she deserves. And the perpetrator, because this is murder, whatever. The FBI have said that, or it's been talked about, even if Nancy was kidnapped, not, deliberately murdered, died as a result of the kidnap, even if that is the case, it's still murder. It's still murder. So, this is a murder charge coming up for the person, whoever it is. Maybe that's why they don't want to talk, because they know that they're going to get held up for murder, and it'll probably be, I don't know, life without parole. But if there is more than one perpetrator, strange that they haven't turned against each other, isn't it? That they're having, because one of these, supposing there's 2 perpetrators, one of them could go to the FBI and do a plea deal. They could do that, and they could even perhaps get some of the ransom money in that, but certainly get a lighter sentence by selling out the other person. It's surprising that nobody's done that. Or is it, as Nanos said at the beginning, we mustn't forget that I know that we can't believe anything he says, but Nanos in the beginning said he thought it was a lone wolf. But really, if you think about it, if somebody was planning on taking, Nancy might be an old lady, maybe she's not very substantial, but it's still not easy to carry somebody out, to carry a person, is it? Unless they had something to carry her in. Because I'm still obsessed with the rucksack. What is in the rucksack? Was there a body bag in there? Was there some sort of folding carry bag that they were going to put her in? How were they planning to get her out of the house? Or were they planning on her walking out of the house? But did they not know she had mobility issues, etc.? So there's so much to chew over in this case. Yeah, the cops have no clue to catch. I see what you're saying, Sean. So you're saying that one of the perpetrators won't make a plea deal yet because they don't feel like they're just about to be caught. No, that's probably right. Do you think that's what the FBI are trying to do? Do you think the FBI are trying to sort of flush them out a bit? Trying to, how can I explain it? Maybe they're trying to make it look as if they're on, because people keep coming out and saying, don't they? Oh, they're on the verge of a breakthrough. We had Maureen O'Connell say it for her source, her FBI source, because she used to be in the FBI, but she's not been in the FBI for 10 years, but she's got a source who, of course, as everybody seems to accept me, I feel a bit, left out because I haven't got a source. But she said, oh, they're on the verge of identifying Portugal. She said that a week ago. She said that a week ago. Are they just saying that to try and make Portugal or girl or whoever it is think that they're on the brink, that will push them into giving themselves up? I mean, no doubt there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't know about, and I hope it's true that that they do know more than us. We keep having faith saying, oh, well, we think the FBI knows more, but do they? I mean, what if they don't? Then you get other sources saying, no, they don't know more. So even the sources are directly contradicting each other. So it's just the weirdest case ever. And in the meantime, this poor lady, we don't know what's happened to her. Personally, I think she will have died on that very first day. Where she is, I don't know. I had that sort of dream or vision that she was in a well of some kind. But there's probably loads of them out there. But why aren't they even looking for her? I think that is a weird thing, isn't it? They're not searches being conducted. She's not being searched for. And when the Cajun Navy searchers offered to help, they were told, no, we don't need any help. Or we're not taking in outside help. So why are they not searching for her? Very odd. Everything is odd about this case. That's why we keep talking about it. And I just don't want to be here in a year, 6 months, still talking about it. So again, just hoping and praying that there is going to be a break in the case soon. And the other thing about Nanos, every time we see him being interviewed, he just seems to have a little chuckle over it all. Oh, yeah, well, it takes a long time for the DNA. And it's not funny, is it? Why does he think it's funny? Seems to have a little chuckle about how long it takes to solve things. So, anyway. Well, thank you for watching. And thank you, of course, for caring about Nancy. Thank you for all your support and getting me to 8,000 subscribers between the two channels. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to subscribe. Leave that DNA on the subscribe button and the like button. It's completely free. Thank you for all your support about losing my sister yesterday. Thank you. So I'm going to talk about that in the members on Thursday. I'm going to do a little tribute to my sister. And yeah, If any of you are members and you want me to add something to the tribute, you know, for somebody you've lost, maybe, I think that's what we'll do on Thursday. So just get in touch with me or leave me a message. So take care. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, thank you, Marcus. And until then, may your God go with you, and let's pray for Nancy. Bye.